everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Okoyene. If today is the first time stopping by this channel, you're welcome. Please do not forget to subscribe and also turn up your notification bell to be notified when I post a new video. So today's topic is an interesting one. Is how to cut a 6-piece skirt. First of all, I did not do an intro video, so I tried to do this intro video in the office. So let's go back to the tutorial right about now. Also, please do not forget to subscribe, like and share this video. Tutorial right about now.
Everyone, so for the 6-piece skirt, I'll be making use of this wrapper. It's already a wrapper, so I'm converting the wrapper to a 6-piece skirt. First of all, what we'll be doing is I will try to sketch out what this 6-piece skirt looks like. It looks like an A-line skirt. So if you're aware of an A-line, like a pencil with like a flare joined together makes it an A-line skirt. But then there's this middle point to divide it to make it 6 pieces. So 3 at the front, 3 at the back. We're needing measurement, your circumference, your full waist measurement, your hip measurement, waist to hip, waist to knee, and waist to floor length. So those are the basic measurements that we're using to cut this skirt. So in cutting of 6-piece skirts, you will be needing your nipple to nipple measurement. So if your nipple to nipple measurement is 8, divided by 2 should be 4. So I'll be using 4, which is the nipple to nipple measurement divided by 2 as my waist measurement. And then I went ahead to get the length of the skirt. So the measurement you are supposed to do is, because some of your fabrics it's actually going to be longer than your measurement, or might not be the measurement of your length. So let's say you want it to be 60 and the length is 45, so you understand. So the measurement here is 40 as the full skirt measurement, which I'm marking as 40. I'll be adding band to it, and then I'll be turning it. So I just decided to leave it at 40, and then I went ahead to rule it out. So go ahead now and take the measurement. So the measurement, like I said, I'm using is 4, which is nipple to nipple divided by 2. I went ahead to take waist to the hip measurement, which is 9. I took 9, and then I went ahead to take the waist to the knee measurement. And then what I did also was my waist, let's say your waist to your knee is 23, and then because I don't want it to be at the knee side so that it will not be uncomfortable for her to move, so I took it up a bit, like minusing 1 inch or minusing half inch or 2 inch depending. And then what I did too for the hip side, I still took the 4-inch measurement, and then for the knee part I minus half an inch. So I noticed that the chalk is not showing, so I went ahead to correct it. For the width, for the down part, for the flare, I took 10 inch. So you can do 8, you can do 12 depending on the fabric that you have. And so I went ahead to add half an inch to all sides, to the waist, to the hip, and to the knee measurement. I didn't add to the downside because I already want it to be 10. Later I went ahead to rule it out, and also use a blue chalk, because I figured out that this chalk is actually not showing. So like I said, I went ahead to use the blue chalk so that you can see it. What next I did was I had to cut it out. So this is the middle part for the front side. Is different from the middle part of the back side. So if you're a beginner, you're going to be cutting sides which are different. The only sides that are actually going to be the same are the other 2 sides, the one going to the hip, but the middle point is actually going to be different for the front and the back sides. So I'm trying to align fabric to cut the back side. The back side is quite is just going to be different because it's going to have like a tail at the back, so it's not going to be like the front side, not like you're cutting the midpoint of the front side two times. The back is going to be different because at the zipper side, like where the zip is going to be, which is the midpoint, the middle line, we're going to extend like a flare at the back. So what next I did was, after aligning them to be together, I went ahead to cut the first side, which is actually going to be the same, then leaving the zipper side. So for this back side, we'll just be extending the lines. So be extending the knee line and the hip line. Please don't forget to notch for every part that you cut. Please notch the knee side and notch the hip side so that when you're trying to join both sides, it will align together. Please, as a beginner, don't forget to align it. So what next we'll be doing is we'll be taking the zipper measurement. Your zipper measurement depends. You can take 1.5, you can take 1, you can take 2, but as a beginner, please take 2 inch. And then for the hip line, that's the butt line. Let's say you're taking 1.5 as your zipper portion. For the inches, for the hip side, you should take 2. For taking 1.5, so that it can be able to accommodate the bum. So me, I took 2 inch. I took 1.5. Then for the zipper side, I took 2, and then when I'm joining it will align to fit the butt. So I went ahead to cut the downside so that they can align together, because I want to add the inch for the flare. So if you can see me connecting, you will see that there is a space at which there's a space at the downside of like the length, the full length, the down part. I didn't just make it straight, so it's like a bit of a line. You get, there's a bit of a flare. So I made that flare was, I think it's 7.5 or 8 inches. So it depends on your material, because this material is like a wrapper and then we are converting it to a skirt. So I'm limited on the kind of allowance I can add. So I'll go ahead and cut it out so that we can have the back side and the front mid, that's the middle part that we are cutting. Please, like I said earlier on, try to notch your part so that when you are aligning it, they will follow the same way, so that when you are aligning the knee to the knee to balance, the hip to the hip, everything that you're aligning will balance. Try to mark it. We're going ahead to cut the other side. So we're using the middle point to cut the other side. So the middle part, that which is the first one that we have cut, not the one that has the zipper. So the one for the front, so we're using it to cut the side. So what I went ahead to do is to align it at the side, so that when I'm cutting it, the both sides will align together. And then I left about 7 inches at the other side to create a flare. So I'm going ahead to cut it out. I'll go ahead to like rule the lines, the hip line and the knee line, because we want to be taking the measurement. So what you will do is, the middle point, I've actually took like 4 inch, 4 inch for the hip, 4 inch for the waist, and then 3.5 for the knee. So what we'll be doing is we'll minus it out from the actual measurement. So if your actual measurement for your waist is 8 and you have taken 3.5 for your nipple to nipple, you're going to minus that 3.5 from the 8, which is going to give you 4.5 to make it 8, and then you add your allowance. So For the waist, I took the waist measurement and I minused the 4-inch, and then I marked. For the hip measurement is 40. I took the hip, minus it, and then I added the allowance. And also I did the same for the knee measurement. Now the knee is just going to be slightly slimmer than your waist. So if you're taking, let's say, 10 for your waist total, you can make your knee 9, depending on how snatch you want the knee point to be. But this is for an elderly person, so I did not make it too snatch, so that the person will be comfortable with the skirt. We'll go ahead and connect it to the end part to make it an A-line. So remember, we added 7 inches when placing this middle point on it, and then we'll go ahead and then connect it so that it can be A-line. What next you're going to do is to cut it out, and this part is going to serve us to cut the other 2 parts for the back side. So the front 2 parts, which is this, because it's on fold, we're going to use it to cut the back side. We're going to curve the side. So we're going to curve the side. We're going to just go in by 2 inch. First of all, the down part, you're going to find the middle point of the down part. You're going to mark it, and then you go by the side of the skirt. You go in by 2 inch, and then you curve it out like what I'm doing. After curving it out, you cut it out to make that curve. If you don't know how to make the curve, just to make it. So I'm about joining the skirt. I'm joining one of the sides to the other side, and please be reminded that if you're using lining, maybe you're not using a thick fabric like a crepe or a poly, you want to use an Ankara fabric like I'm using, you have to cut your lining. So I've actually cut my lining behind the camera, so I'm going to be joining the skirt. So I'm going to join the middle part with the other side. Also, I'm going to do the same for the front, do the same for the back, do the same for the lining, and I'll be showing you all the results as I'm joining them. I've gone ahead to join the lining, the front part, and then join the skirt, as in the Ankara fabric, the front part. So I want to use the lining to cover the skirt to make it neat. So what we're going to do is you're supposed to cut your lining an inch shorter than your fabric, so that when you're turning it and you drag it, it's going to be equal. So which I've actually done. And then I will start turning. So I will start turning from the down side before getting to the upside. So the only side I'm not going to need turn is just the waist side, which is the upper side. I'm not going to need turn it because I'm going to use the band to actually cover it up. So as you can see, for the back side, I've done the knit sewing, and then I've been able to join the back. So this is the back where the zipper is. So I just run a long stitch down to join it. I'm going to lose it when I want to fix the zipper, and as you can see, the down, everything is neat. You can see everything is neat, and this is how you're supposed to sew it. So when you're sewing, you're supposed to be ironing it, and you could see the back. You can see that there's a bit of a flare at the back, which is at 7 inches. I added, right? So when we're going to do the zipper side, we're going to lose it, and that's also for the front. As you can see, everything is neatly sewn and neatly ironed. So I'm going to join the front and the back together to make it a skirt. So we'll be taking the measurements now. The waist measurement is 8.5. We're going to mark 8.5. Take waist to hip, which is 9 inches, mark. And then we're going to take the hip measurement, which is 10. It's 40, so I've already divided by 4. So your circumference divided by 4, the measurement, that's what you're going to be taking. So I'll mark, and then I will also just go in a bit for the knee part. So waist to the knee is 19. I'll go in a bit for the knee part. Like I said, I don't want it so snatch. Like the way I would sew for a young girl will be different from the way I can make for an adult. What I'm saying is the way I can make for an elder will be different from the way I can make for a young girl. So all I'm doing is connecting the sides. Then I'll take like an A line down to the length of the skirt. Also be reminded that this is a part, so I'm going to replicate the same part and to the other side so that it can be equal. I'll go ahead to pin both sides together so that they can be together. So I'll go ahead now and join it so the same place I've pinned, that's where I'm going to sew. So after joining it, I will lose the zipper portion. So I'm going to use the zipper portion so that I can attach the zip and attach the band. So I've gone ahead to join it, and this is how it's looking like. The next thing I'm going to do is to lose that portion that I've actually joined for the zipper allowance. So for the zipper allowance, I'm just going to lose that portion, and as you can see, everything is looking neat inside. There's no rough edges except the upper part. So what next I'm going to do is I'm going to attach the band to the skirt, and then to add the elastic. So the elastic is going to be added from one that allowance to the other that allowance. So from the back that allowance, you will need to measure it to the front that allowance, and that measurement you are going to divide it by 2 and add half an inch to it. So if it is 8 inches divided by 2, which is 4, and then you add half an inch, will give you 4.5, and then you're going to cut it for 2, so it will be for the 2 sides. So to attach the band is 4 inches, and that means it will be 2 inches when folded. So you're going to add from the back to the front. So you're trying to cover the rough edge, so you're not going to sew from the front to the back, but you're going to sew from the back to the front, like how I'm sewing. So you just place it and fold the band at the edge just a bit in, so that it will be smooth after sewing it. So to cover the front, we are just going to, we have ironed the band side, we have ironed like half an inch up. So we're going to just cover that half an inch to cover the rough edge. So as we're sewing it, we're going to still attach the band. So before we attach the band to close it, we'll add the band. Before we attach the band, we're going to add the elastic from one dart to the other. So one dart point from the back to one dart from the front. We're going to do it for both sides. And so when you're sewing, you're going to just pull it through. So just watch what I'm doing. sewing, you will try to pull the elastic as I'm doing so that it can stretch out, because if you don't pull it, it won't be balanced when sewing. So when you're sewing at the portion where there's elastic, you just drag it so that it can fit properly inside. At the end, you will see what it will look like. So what you have replicated on one side, which I'm sewing, is the same thing I'm still going to replicate on the other side. You know, I only just fix elastic on one side of the skirt, so I'm going to still fix on the other side, and then I'm still going to close it like this. After sewing the band, you go ahead and fix your zip so that your skirt can be complete and look beautiful. So this is what the skirt is looking like, so neat and looking beautiful. As you can see, I fixed the zip. If your client is a young person, you might as well match the elastic portion, but then this is an elderly person, and so this is what she requested, hence I had to make it based on her request. As you can see, the skirt is very neat. There's no rough edges showing. So this is how your skirt is going to look at the end of this tutorial. Thank you so much for watching this tutorial. Please do not forget to subscribe, like and share, and also give this video a thumbs up if you find it helpful. Bye.